Vibranium, I can never get soft. I move squares, trying not to get boxed.
Alright, Banana Broku, boop, boop, boop. Bitch. Here we go back again. Niggas K podcast point guard with the fellas. Should we just, man, I'm going to introduce yourself.
It's Cam, aka Mr. aka the man in the middle. Let's get it.
Hey, Ken, Dark-skinned Steve Nash, aka Lawyer on the Court.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes, sir. Lawyer. Wait, we've got a new lawyer.
Lawyer on the Court.
Lawyer.
Jeez, Make some noise, man. I see that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And finally, your neighbor, friendly neighborhood sweeter, man. Mongs, you know, Mr. International Pitbull. You get me, Mr. Worldwide, and that.
Live from Italia.
Live from Italia,
yes,
and we have a guest, our second guest of all time, man.
Special guest, extra
second guest.
Sir, we'll let him take the floor.
What is good? So I'm Nath, aka the Boston Brit. Appreciate you guys having me on. Let's talk a little bit of basketball, shall we?
The greatest team in the world. Let's go.
Hey,
facts.
All right.
It's gonna be a long day for you, man.
All right, so Nathan, basically, if you don't know, I'm a Laker fan. Mungi's also a Laker fan, and Cam is a Bulls fan, and Ken is your fellow Celtic brethren, and you man are slumping right now. And the original plan was to bring, obviously, Ken's obviously part of the gang, so we were just going to basically just slew Ken and just be like, Celtics is trash. But we thought, you know what? Let's be fair this time, and let's bring a fellow Celtic expert in to help him out.
Well, to be honest with you, you can probably agree that we've not been playing great basketball. And, you know, obviously everything which has been flying around Twitter and social media with, you know, get Brad out, get this out. We need to completely get rid of this team. Like, why is Jason and Jalen taking all the shots? And why are we playing too much ISO? And it's not a good time to be a Celtics fan right now. But there's always positives. You know, Jalen and Jason, they've massively stepped up from last year, which you can all probably agree. And I think the main thing at the moment is there's not necessarily one pinpoint issue where typically you can, you know, usually point out an issue quite simply, you know, within a team. But with this Celtics team, you know, we have no depth on the bench. That's one thing which needs to change. So Danny needs to pull his finger out and do something in this. You know, before the deadline passes.
Danny, we got to talk about Danny.
I got plenty of time for Trader Danny.
But it's, you know, it's been a tough season. And arguably, I saw a stat the other day that there's quite a few teams in the NBA that are below 0.500, which is
many.
Mad. That's mad. That's crazy. But I think that just goes to show. I think that goes to show as well. You know, this year with the league and with no fans in the arena, I think fans play a massive part. You know, if you're an away team, for example, if you come to TD Garden, it's packed out, it's loud. You know, there's no atmosphere quite like it. So intimidating. And I think players, you know, some of the players which have stepped up this season, I think are benefiting from that. And with, you know, no fans in the arena, it's, you know, I don't know whether those performances are going to continue for those guys.
Anyone
be like the guys in the bubble as well, man.
It's exactly the same. Exactly the same in the bubble. Like, look at the Miami Heat. Like, they came out of nowhere, in you know, and they got to the finals. It's crazy, and I do not believe if that season, that series, was at TD Garden, and fans were in the arenas as well. We would have beat them 100%.
It's statistically too. I mean, the Mavs last season had the highest offensive rating we'd seen of all time or something. This year, it's like 5 teams higher than the Mavs. People were shooting off the charts. It's obviously helping the players to be in an environment without fans. Sometimes I've always felt like some players play better with the fans. I feel like 100%. Some players want to put on a show, but I think the practice-like environment is definitely helping lots and lots of teams come out there on road games, particularly. You lose a lot of home court advantage when you don't have rowdy Celtics screaming in your ear. You know, I mean, it is a big difference. It'll be interesting to see how much it carries on when everything goes back to normal.
Yeah, I think with the Celtics as well, I think that could be, for me, that's kind of sticking in my head, could be one of the potential issues, because there's nothing like, if you're playing badly at TD Garden, you're on the Celtics team, whether you're on the Celtics or on the away team, it makes no difference. They're going to come for you. The fans will come for you and gun for you until, so having a little bit of pressure on your backs, having a little bit of, you're playing for the best organization in the NBA. And the team with the most championship banners. I mean, don't come at me, Lakers fans, with those 17 banners. You haven't got 17.
Well, I have to intervene.
12.
Okay, it's time for me to intervene. Okay, so now we've got the introduction out the way. Are you worried, Nathan? Are you worried with how? Because I think you mentioned a few good points about Jason's shot selection. I think I've seen that as well. I was speaking to Ken as well about. I know, and I actually like watching Celtics play because of the ball movement, everyone gets involved, everything like that.
Well, they used to.
This year,
we'll get there.
This year, it's a bit, it seems like
a lot of ISO ball.
Yeah, Jason's ready to do ISO. So I just wanted to know, like, not just are you worried for this season? Let's talk about let's think more about the future as well, and with the picks that you have and everything and the assets that you have. Are you worried? Is my question.
I'm not. No, I'm not worried. Right now, every team goes through a bit of adversity. The Celtics are going through it heavily right now. But like I said, I think because we don't have our roster is so young, I don't think people can fully appreciate it. If you look through our roster, I mean, the average age is ridiculous. Like, we are so young, and I believe that with Danny's very good at holding on to assets. Whether that's a great thing for us is a different question.
That's debatable.
But he when he does, just look at Jason and Jalen. We wouldn't have them if Danny didn't finesse the 76ers and go through all that scenario. So with the shot selection stuff with Jason and Jalen, like, they are taking volume shots at the moment. I do think that is it is a problem, and I don't think it helps where Kemba Walker is very hot and cold. The game he had the other night, unbelievable.
Finally.
Yeah, finally. To be fair, I love Kemba, and he got so much slander. He's coming back off on a knee injury, and it's not. He needs to get his rhythm back. Like, you got to think about it this way, okay? He was in that Charlotte's team. He carried that team night after night after night after night. Like, I mean, didn't he play? I can't remember the stat, but did he play the most minutes in one season for a team? Wasn't it an all-time record or something? He hardly missed any games.
Like he never really sat out games, Kemba.
Yeah, and do you know what I mean? That just goes to show what kind of guy he is, and he's the type of guy that you need in a team. 100%. Even though we're losing, he's still smiling, and obviously that makes me quite angry. But at the same time,
I've seen that meme where when teams lose, everyone's crying. You see Kemba in the background like this.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the
cheeks to see every time.
But when you're having that kind of like a little bit of a rut, you need that energy. You need that kind of guy that is gonna smile. It's gonna be like, look, guys, it's gonna be fine. Let's just play our ball. Let's get the ball movement around. I know you mentioned ball movement, and we've not, within our rut at the moment, we've not really moved it around as much. Like I said, we're playing a lot of ISO with Jalen and Jason, and it just wasn't working. It's not working, in my opinion. They're taking so many shots, and in some cases, Jason is taking some pretty bad shots. Where I don't know whether it can't be a trust issue, but if you do look at our bench. We haven't got any prolific scorers that come off it, which is why I keep saying just bring back Isaiah Thomas just for a little bit of.
Oh, you want IT back?
I do, just off the bench. Like, we've got nothing to lose there, nothing to lose.
I think the balance is off with the Celtics when you're talking about Kemba, because Kemba used to get so many shots up. It was the same sort of feeling with Kyrie. I thought Gordon Hayward was the important piece in sacrificing himself last year. You would have thought that. With Hayward gone and Kemba out for so long, obviously their shots are going to go up, Jason and Jalen. But there's been a struggle to balance out Kemba running the show as the point guard with the ball in his hands every time, and those guys getting their shots up. There's just something off. I don't know if it's Brad's rotations. He's failing to stagger them correctly. But it's aesthetically, even just watching the Celtics, it's just not the same team. There's no there's no cohesion to it. It's just like Jason gets his turn, Jalen gets his turn, Jason gets his, and it's just like what the hell's going? It feels like watching the Clippers last year in a weird sense. It's the two dominant wings, and I don't know if it's the right fit for Kemba, because we saw it also with Kyrie, a ball dominant point guard who's not necessarily hunting for other people's shots but more for himself, might not be the best fit for two gunning wings. And Jalen and Jason have become that. Like, Jason was always that. Jason was always a scorer. Jalen's ascendance into a secondary scorer at the very least, because he's shooting so well and he's playing so well, creates something that should be a good problem for you guys, but because you're so top heavy with the talent, it's not working out very well with the bench. Like, your bench is so thin. I'm seeing like Pritchard and like Naismith and these random guys. I've never seen these guys, and those are the guys that you're expecting to carry you in minutes that the stars are out. It's difficult. It's a hard spot for Brad to be in. But it's hard for those guys. And Kemba, as much as he has been a lead point guard, has always been a score first kind of guy, and it's tough. It's tough to have three big scorers and no one's sacrificing that much. Kemba's trying to sacrifice, but when Kemba's not getting his shots up, his value is declining so much. He looks so bad when he's not scoring because he doesn't do many other things very, very well. So it'll be interesting to see going forward who sort of takes that back seat between those two wings, because I don't think Kemba taking the third seat is the best plan going forward. I think he has to be A or B, because C definitely isn't working out for him. And it's obviously going to take some time because he's coming off that injury and it's taking him a while to get back to form. But when he's making his buckets, like you saw the other night, I don't remember who you were playing, but he was going off. And it seems like the team feeds off of his energy better than they feed off of Jason and Jalen scoring, which is, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. But Brad's got a lot of work to do. He's got a lot of work to do going forward.
Can you worried?
100%.
You worried, Ken?
No, I'm never worried about these guys. I mean, I'm annoyed now. I'm pissed off now, and obviously for the reasons that we've already alluded to. I mean, Kemba as a leader on the team, I think, is invaluable. You hear comments about all the execs in the league about, as a leader and as a human, you want Kemba in your locker room more than most other people. So, he's always going to give us that. But the streakiness this year, again, you can tie it down to the injury, because last year he was giving us 22. I think we're the only team with 3 starters averaging 20 plus. So it's there. The formula is there. I think, when we have people like Smart on the court, we're a completely different team. Energy-wise, ball movement-wise, defensively. I feel like we miss him a lot. Hayward, despite everything that he went through, I feel like he was a key piece for us as well. As great of a scorer as he was a great facilitator as well. Facilitation is one thing I feel like we're missing desperately. Jason's not going to do that.
Just say you want Rajon Rondo back on the team already, man. Come on.
Talk about where's my Rondo dress? I'll grab it.
I won't let this happen, man.
But honestly, as far as players go on the team, Jalen's always been my favorite for a while. I've said it. I feel like he takes the smartest choice and makes the smartest decisions on the court, offensively and defensively. I just don't see people like Jason and Kemba taking that much of a backseat. So there's that. I mean, we need a better big man. I love Tyus. I'm not a big fan of Tristan this season. Not a fan of Jeff Teague this season.
Don't get me started on Jeff Teague. My God.
Yeah, Jeff Teague.
My God.
Jeff Teague has been catching a lot from Celtics fans.
Bro.
Getting flamed.
Especially with his burner account.
You're about to say that. I'm about to say that. DeMarco 5'5". But yeah, man, I think we should have re-signed. What's his name? He's on the Warriors now.
That's my next question. Yeah, what is it that you guys need? I thought originally it was the big man position that was.
We do need a big man, but to be honest, we need someone who replaces Gordon Hayward. Like, you need that replacement. I think Celtics fans, obviously, because the issue you got with Gordon is that he gets injured quite a lot, but when he's back and when he's healthy, like he said, he's one of the best facilitators in the NBA, and he goes right under the radar. And he did at the Celtics. Like, not many people were understanding what he was doing for the Celtics every night. Just because a stat line doesn't say, you've got 30 points, you've got 5 rebounds, etc., etc., it doesn't mean that you're not helping that team win games. And it's we do miss Gordon Hayward. The one person I really wish we did not get rid of is Aaron Baines. I loved Aaron Baines, and just him coming off the bench as well. You know, it's the depth off the bench which I'll always come back to right now, and it's always something which, you know, is troubling me and just frustrates me. You know, we've got a great talent in Peyton Pritchard, 100%.
I love him.
Great, he's aggressive. He's literally
He's a
like
Marcus
Marcus Smart. He has got that Marcus
Is he
Smart
still on course
mentality.
for 50, 40, 90 as a rookie?
So that-
He
Last time I
was
checked, he
shooting
was.
pretty well. Yeah, he was shooting pretty
He's
well.
on course for 50, 40, 90 season as a rookie.
He's such a good talent. People, quite a few people laughed at us for taking him when we did, and you can arguably say we could have got a few more better talents, if you want to call it that. But he's been unbelievable. Like I said, he's got that Marcus Smart grit and determination, and especially with us playing so poorly at the moment, it does go to show that with Marcus Smart in the team, we are a completely different outfit.
100%.
I'm really glad you mentioned Peyton Pritchard, because it kind of segues into what I wanted to point out and talk about next. Celtics held 3 picks, 14, 26, 30 this year.
Mm-hmm.
And coming off the back of an Eastern Conference Finals show, which was fantastic against the Heat, because the Heat
should have won.
It's always great. The question is, could have Danny Ainge turned those picks into something better in order to watch the Celtics progress?
Business. Get into the business,
Be
Cam.
back there, because that was the first red flag for me. When I saw that Celtics were keeping those picks, I was just like, something's wrong. They could be flipping this into something else. On the backside of that, we know that the next free agent class coming up at the end of this year is quite a strong one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you predict any of those picks being packaged into anything for the next great Danny Ainge move? Or do you think we're going to see something mid-season this year, in your opinion?
I think with our picks, our past few off seasons have been quite poor, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's not been to the level of a championship winning mentality. The Celtics have always got a championship winning mentality, in the sense of, you know, making the Eastern Conference Finals is an L. Like for other teams, save, I don't know, the Orlando Magic, if they got to the NBA,
All the balls.
all the balls, finals, that's that as a successful season, wouldn't you? Like you would be like, look, that's amazing. Like we can then build on this.
Season.
Yeah, so like for the Celtics, it's always Eastern Conference Finals. It's like, oh, for God's sake, here we go. No, we're back here again. We're out again. So it's quite frustrating. But with the picks, I was very surprised that Danny kept those picks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very surprised. Or we didn't take a couple of other players instead of, you know, Naismith and Pritchard. But I think the trade exception is going to be that's a great asset. But it's what we do with it. I don't know what we're going to do. I'd love to go for someone like Vooch, or because, you know, there's rumors coming out that, you know, the Orlando Magic would want to ship Fournier and Vooch. So I'd love to have them. Miles Turner. The whole thing with Miles Turner as well. Danny Ainge never had Miles Turner. Like Celtics fans seem to think we had him. Like we didn't. Like there's no like that whole scenario was just crazy. Like there was no way that Danny Ainge even had him in the first place, like ready to come to Boston. It wasn't going to happen. But I think our off seasons have been quite poor past few seasons. In a nutshell, moving forward, we need to use that trade exception, and it's how we use it and how we use it cleverly. Like, you know, I don't want to just. So there's 2 ways of doing it. We either try and get a certified all-star, or we use it to get some, you know, multiple pieces to add a little bit of depth to the team. Now, personally, I don't care if, you know, say if we got James Harden, yeah, that would have been fantastic. But I wouldn't have cared if we then went and got, I don't know, for example, JJ Redick, just a little bit of depth off the bench, even though he's been playing quite poor. But you get what I mean? So if we had multiple pieces added to our team, which on the rotation, we would then be a little bit more solid, I'd be happy with that. So I'm not looking for some all-star just to walk in.
Mm.
We don't need that. We've got Jalen and
You have
Jason.
two.
Yeah,
You have to.
Two.
arguably Kemba as well when he's on point. So
Okay,
it's we've got 3 certified all-stars there.
100%.
So why bring in another? Just add some depth and then let's make a playoff run.
So in defense of last off-season, you guys were tied up completely financially. So it wasn't like you guys were going to sign anyone. But
I mean, we could have signed Adams instead of Tristan. I think Tristan costs more than Adams.
Yeah,
So let him go to.
I love Steven Adams. I love Steven Adams. He
Steven
would have been.
Some of your decision making.
that's true.
So some of the decision making's been strange. Like Tristan Thompson doesn't. He obviously has a reputation as a switchable defender and a tough rebounder and all of that, but he doesn't lift your ceiling that much if you're comparing them to a player like Tice. And obviously, you said Baines. You lost
even Al Horford
recently.
Al Horford's better than Tristan.
Even Al Horford.
Al Horford was great on the Celtics.
There's a lot of
100%.
there's a lot of middling kind of moves that aren't shifting the needle enough. And for me, for Danny Ainge's reputation as this myth, the myth of Danny Ainge has traded Danny, all of his history, all of his moves that he's made before, I did expect him to make a bigger swing. I've seen the free agent market, the waiver market, a lot of DeMarcus Cousins talk, a lot of buyout candidates being talked about, but I still don't know if that does it. I actually do believe now that you mention it, the bench depth is definitely what I'd be looking to address more than anything, because initially I felt like it was the big man.
Same.
Especially considering that you're going through Miami, you're going through Philadelphia. It's a tough ask to put, Tristan Thompson on Embiid for 7 games, even on Bam Adebayo. It's a lot to do. But I thought that was your biggest weakness. And that, the more I think about it now, that bench needs a lot of work done on it. Strange decision making from Danny, but obviously it's hard to envision Kemba coming back the way he is and the team regressing in this strange way. I think Brad Stevens' history, especially with young players, would have been him transitioning seamlessly. Difficult spot to be in. Very, very difficult spot to be in. But I'm looking for Danny Ainge to make quick moves at this point, because it's I don't know what your timeline is as a Celtics fan, but if I've got 2 young all-stars, the time is now, especially in this Eastern Conference, where almost anyone can come out of it. I know you've got a new powerhouse there, but when you sniff the Eastern Conference Finals and you're a couple of games away from the NBA Finals, you've got to make a push. You never know what happens next season. You know what I mean? I think Danny Ainge has been sitting for too long, just waiting for the right time, biding his time. He's got to make a move, because you never know what happens next season. What if, God forbid, someone pops an ACL or something? It's got to be more aggressive. I think your timeline needs to be much shorter than it is.
Speaking of all-stars, obviously announced Jalen and Jason. Jason is actually a starter as of now. But you guys have a losing record right now, man. So I want to know your take on having 2 all-stars, even though we can definitely say that the team is. Hold
on, Nick.
Hello. Hey, what's up?
Aren't you the one that advocated for Sexton to be an all-star?
For Sexton, 100% I did.
Then what's the problem?
Not for a start. Oh, I want him to be part of the all-star team, but this is different. You guys have two all-stars right now.
That might be unprecedented, man. That might really be unprecedented, because you were under 500 when they were announced, and it's all right. I know both of them are playing at a very high level, but them playing at such a high level should be translating to winning basketball. If you're 2 games under 500, how are you justifying that all-star selection?
So yeah,
it is what it is. Though,
take the floor, Nathan.
You can. I think it's, for me, an NBA all-star is someone who is balling out.
Yeah.
Whether you are losing, whether you are winning. Personally, I think NBA is a team. Basketball's a team game, right? You could have, obviously, arguably, we've got 2 all-stars in Jalen and Jason. Okay, they absolutely tear it up, but it's, again, they're not on the court the whole time. If we had them play the whole game, arguably, and if they didn't lose any juice, they would. They'd probably witness those games. But it doesn't work like that, obviously. So I think with NBA All-Star voting and everyone saying, "Oh, but that team's losing this," I mean, I don't think that's necessarily That shouldn't be a thought process. It should be if that guy is dropping like 30 points a night, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. Like, if they're absolutely balling out, they have every right to be in the NBA All-Star game.
Sean.
Definitely.
Amen.
Whether it's a Celtics player, whether it's a LA Bum player, whether it's like,
I know he was talking about the Clippers. I know you were talking about the Clippers right there.
I think that narrative, in reference to a player coming from such a prestigious franchise such as the Celtics, could be accepted. However, I don't see someone like Andre Drummond on like the Pistons getting whatever mammoth numbers he's getting, ever getting that kind of recognition. I don't think anyone would turn around and be like, this guy's getting 13 and 2 blocks or whatever, and being like, all right, cool, Drummond's balling out. They will always.
Yeah, you got to look at his competition on the flip side, though.
Yeah. There's that also 100%, and the bigs in the East are stacked right now. I just
like
think
Joel Embiid, monster. Like,
yeah,
crazy,
100%. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think as to ignore the winning factor, because it's just never been.
Yeah, I think it should be that should be the last process in your head if you're going to think about that.
Filter people.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that every fan, whenever you see someone named as an all-star, you're like, oh, he's missed out. Oh, this is a joke. That's a joke. This is, you know what I mean? There's always someone who hates the selection anyway.
Yeah,
but, you know, arguably, Chicago Bulls, I think Zach LaVine deserves an all-star spot. So you know, it all comes down to personal preference at the end of the day.
That's why
some people love watching certain players play. Some people watch, you know, they watch it for aggressiveness. Some people watch it for the sleek shooting. You know, I think it's all personal preference, really.
Yeah, I was quite interested in knowing your all-star criteria. We've been debating it for a while, and trying to do when we do our own picks and stuff as well. So that was quite interesting. So I got a question about what's your prediction? Your real-time prediction of you guys right now? Do you still making your usual conference finals, or is it?
I think.
Can you
if
go
you
away?
were to ask me this question after the deadline, I'd probably have a better answer for you.
I speak hypothetically. If you do signings that I don't know that you want and all that, or maybe
at least it's got to be at least Eastern Conference Finals. It has to be. You know, it's like I said earlier. We'd still class it as a failure because we're not in the NBA Finals. But realistically, with the way we're playing at the moment and kind of, you know, the topsy-turvy, we haven't really gained any momentum. We haven't gone on a run of games like we had done, you know, previously. But yeah, I'd like to think Eastern Conference Finals. But then again, you have to get through Philadelphia. You have to get through Brooklyn. You have to get through some strong competition. And depending on where we finish, where we are right now, you know, we're finishing lower down, which isn't going to help us against the matchups. I still think we would, we would beat Milwaukee. I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah.
Going up against Philadelphia, always funny against Philadelphia. Always a funny matchup. You know, some seasons they absolutely dominate us. Some seasons we slap them. So that's a big matchup. But I do not want to go against the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh man, I think with the lack of a big man and Joel Embiid's MVP-like season, Philadelphia would not be a matchup you'd want to see early.
Embiid doesn't like the playoffs though.
There's also that.
Philly does seem to be a very solvable puzzle during the playoffs for some reason. I don't know if it's the spacing and the ability to sort of key in on Embiid and not worry about Simmons so much.
I mean, I'm not arguing with it. I mean, if they want to fake and ball out and just go to absolute shit, then that's completely up to them. But I think Brooklyn's the one to watch out for. Brooklyn is going to be the guys which, obviously they don't really have any defense, but when they can outscore you with Kyrie, Harden, and KD, it's a tough task. So
yeah, that team's been rolling too. They've been looking really, really good. And it's
was it 8 in a row?
It got stopped yesterday. But initially, like I was very nonchalant about them just because of the lack of defense there. But that offense is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. They just keep
unreal.
It keeps coming, and it's just like Kyrie. And when you see it, Kyrie James, Kyrie James, Kyrie James. It's a lot to deal with. It's a whole lot to deal with. I don't think anyone wants to see those guys in 7 games. So
and they'll run you down
way.
as well. They'll run you down to the ground because their offense is so aggressive and consistent and it's just bang, bang, bang constantly. You know, as a defensive team, you're going to be hanging out your ass after a couple of minutes, aren't you? To be honest with both of them, especially if they're both on point. So, also, I didn't know whether I'm allowed to swear on this pod.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Swear away, baby.
I mean, banana broker, baby. You do it you want.
ass and everything. I didn't want everyone to be like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna have to edit this out now, man."
Nah, we ain't PC at all, man. We ain't PC.
Good.
Assuming the Nets can make the finals, it'll be the first time we see that done by a team without a top 10 defense, or is it top half defense? So that will be a mammoth achievement. No other team's done it before.
It's a lot to ask of KD, Kyrie, and Harden though. They've got to be on it, especially when it gets towards the end of the season. You can guarantee they're going to sit them. You can guarantee they're going to start a little bit of time management. And they are going to throw everything at that playoff run. And if the Brooklyn Nets don't win it this year,
slander is going to be delicious.
I mean, it's going to be. They are stir that pot because they should be. They should be taking that chip.
Yeah,
they should be.
Yeah.
It's
starting to look like it now.
I don't see. I wouldn't put too much weight on it. The expectation is there for them to win, but I think they would ultimately get the pass, the 1 year pass. They dismantled everything to get those 3 guys in there. One thing goes wrong at the end of the year, it could be game over. One injury and it's a wrap. When you're so heavily reliant on those 3, so
I'd agree if it was 2 guys, but three top 10 players, 2 top 5 players.
The precedent
as well.
was there. The Clippers got it pretty bad last season. I know they went out to the Nuggets in a bad way. But the off-season was a very, very long one for the Clippers, even though it was very, very short for everyone else. It was very, very long. It was a lot of slander. The expectations will still come back to bite you at the end of the day. When you make a move like that and you got your roster, you're the one doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one is forcing you to do that.
And the one team,
for the backlash.
The one team everyone's sleeping on at the moment as well, especially in the West, is the Utah Jazz. Yeah. They are unreal. They're unreal at the moment.
They're built. They're built good.
I don't see that. I'll be honest with you, they're playing amazing. I love watching them play, but we've seen the story before, man.
Yeah, we have. Longevity. We'll see what it plays out
like.
At the moment,
there is something about that team that even when I'm watching them blow out the Lakers and like win their like 9th game in a row or whatever it is, I'm just like, man.
We'll see.
It looks good. It looks very cohesive. Their pick and roll is so hard to deal with. The ball is zipping around like they're the prime Spurs. But there's just something about it that doesn't make me feel like I should be concerned as a Laker fan in 7 games. I feel like Clipper fans feel the same way. No, I feel like Clipper fans feel the same way. I feel like even though the team cohesion is there, the star power just isn't enough. Like at the end of the day, it's a Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell pick and roll. There's solutions. You know what I mean? Over 7 games, there's a lot of solutions to that. I think teams that hit their peak so early during the season tend to sort of fall off towards the end once people start locking down. We'll see. We'll see. I'm impressed.
They're my dark horse. They're my dark horse this year, to be honest with you.
Utah Jazz?
Let's make some case in points, right? Each team was first assembled. Who were they taken down by? Cohesive team, playmaking team in the Mavs. Challenged multiple times again by a cohesive, playmaking, cooperative team in the Spurs. So these kinds of teams.
Spurs had a few more stars, though, I reckon.
100%, but I think we're kind of discounting a defensive player of the year caliber player. I think we're discounting the progression Donovan Mitchell's made. Ingles coming off. The way
Conley's doing quite decent.
Conley balling out. I think you should be worried. I don't think the Utah Jazz are a joke.
I ain't worried.
You got to look at it like
I'm not worried for you guys.
For the Lakers especially, it all pertains on Anthony Davis's health. Because frankly, he's been dookie.
Yeah.
But like, if you look at the Utah Jazz, I know this is a weird kind of comparison, but if you look at football, you look at Leicester when they won the title, Premier League. You know, they didn't have had nobody. Obviously, had Vardy. He was playing well, etc. But they had no out and out.
You want to strike fear into
All
your
star.
heart.
Yeah, they had no out all star. Do you know what I mean? Where
Yes, good spirit.
yeah, exactly. They have a team. The team is coherent. They are playing great together. So with the Utah Jazz, like they're doing it at the moment, and if they can keep that up, and they can keep that the numbers up as well, then they're definitely someone which, to be fair, I've put a cheeky bet on them. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I have put a cheeky bet. On them to win it. Yeah, just always do it as a dark horse. I always go for a dark horse.
What's the odds on that?
I can't remember now off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'll have to let you know. But
Yeah, let me know.
As soon as they went on a little bit of a run, I was like, I'm just going to put a bet on that. They're a dark horse. But again, I'd love to see. We got robbed of a Lakers Celtics finals last year.
My
Absolutely
days.
robbed. But on the flip side, I'm glad we didn't have it. I'm glad we didn't have it because there was no fans in the arena. How shit would that finals have been without any fans in the arena? Let's be real. The fiercest rivalry in basketball. If you do not have fans gunning for each other, home and away. It's not it.
We always said when that finals happens that we're catching a flight and we're going.
I'm looking at no matter what I'm doing.
Yeah, so we're kind of on that. Yeah, we're kind of thankful that we wasn't able to and it never happened because we need to be there. That one I need to be there.
Yeah, 100%.
I was so massively annoyed at the arrival of LeBron James in Los Angeles, and then when Anthony Davis went over last season, I was just very salty the whole way through. I don't want to watch any Lakers basketball. I don't want to play against the Lakers. I just didn't even want to talk about it. So,
do you think if it was the Celtics Lakers finals?
Yeah.
So you're the outside the box looking in, because obviously we're Celtics and Lakers fans. Like, who would you have taken? Who would you have taken out of the Lakers and the Celtics in that series?
I didn't see anyone stopping the Lakers last year.
No,
I didn't see it.
I think throughout the regular season anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know why. There's just something about when we play the Lakers at the moment with Jalen and Jason that the Lakers can't really handle. I don't know why, because we'll go play the New York Knicks and play like absolute shite and get absolutely clapped. But we'll play against you, and it's just different. I don't know why. I don't know whether the players
everything's
step up
different.
a level.
I think it's young stars mentality. I think one very underrated part of the NBA veterans game is keeping consistency in your intensity whilst playing. Whilst a very common theme in young all stars is to see him.
I see that a whole lot when the Celtics play the Lakers. It's the same when the Clippers play the Lakers too. This unnecessary sort of like, I'm going to play out of my mind. I'm Jason Tatum, and I'm going to show the whole world what I'm really about. Like I find it very, very annoying. But also over a 7-game series, that would be a lot to deal with because those guys definitely do play with a big chip on their shoulders when they come to Staples or when we're in the Garden. It's I would have loved that series. I was actually
would have been amazing.
Very, 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 very hopeful that was going to be the series that we get. But, it is what it is. At the end of the day, like you said, I'm glad it didn't come because it was the bubble environment. And I want to see fans. I love playing Boston on the road. You know what I mean? I love that feeling. I love LeBron being booed every touch he gets. It's just such a fulfilling thing to see.
And then
it's a weird sport, though. It's a weird sport, basketball, because if you look at, when Kobe came for his last game at TD Garden, everyone stood up and everyone applauded him. So it just goes to show that as much as we both hate each other, generally, as fan bases and as...
we need each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you need... that is the most fiercest rivalry in basketball, and it's one of those games. It's one of the first games that I watched as well, and
100%.
Before I became a fan, and it's in 2004, and... It's just there's no other game like it, really.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about how emotional is the rivalry between Lakers and Celtics to you? I can tell you full hand. I don't even know how I'm friends with Ken. No, I don't even know how I'm brothers with this guy. Honestly, I don't know how. I hate y'all. I hate y'all every fiber of my being. But
I think some people, if you're in Boston, if you live in Boston, you come from Boston, and you have lived that rivalry through your family, through like generations kind of deal, then you can definitely see why there's so much hatred between the Lakers and the Celtics. But for me, obviously, I dislike them because it's a rivalry. I really dislike the 76ers. Do you mean I can't stand Joel Embiid, if I'm honest. But it's always great to have a rivalry, though, isn't it? It's always great. And when that's the games you look for on the calendar. And then when they do pop up, that's the one thing which I haven't been able to do yet is go to and watch live a Celtics and Lakers game.
Yeah.
Typically because it sells out like that instantly. And if you do want to go, resale value on tickets is
Insane, right?
mad. I mean, I have to sell a kidney to get into TD Garden to go watch that game. So I'd rather have 2 kidneys. But it's crazy.
You gotta respect and hate greatness as it comes. I mean, that's the only reason we dislike you guys is because we like to keep it competitive, and we like to be able to talk shit for like a month after we beat each other, right? That's what it's all about.
Now, for me, it's the Lakers fan base, man. I hate you motherfuckers so much. Oh my days, Lakers Twitter.
It's the 12. Oh, we've got 17 banners. Like, no. Come on. Let's be realistic here, guys. You have 12.
I mean, like you guys
have 12 in the Staples Center.
But I mean, just to play a little bit of, you guys did win those rings when there was 5 teams in the league. So
no.
There's a lot of historical dodging done by the Celtics.
Don't do Larry Bird and Bill Russell.
I'm just saying.
There's 90s, 50s rings.
Come on.
We're running out of room. We're running out of room in TD for banners. I mean, we're taking a break. We've had to take a break since 08 because we can't get any more banners in. You know what I'm saying? So we need a break. That's what's going on.
I'd love for banner 18 final to be Lakers Celtic final. That'll be amazing.
That has to be. Our banner 18 has to be Lakers Celtics because that will be the amount of shit I will give Lakers fans forever on that point will be bliss. It'll be blissful.
We look forward to the day.
Hopefully, it's not any time in the future. As the outside hater.
yourself, got packs.
Oh, Garbax is gone. We're free.
Wait, Nick, what did you call Cameron the other day?
I called him a Goo Goo Gaga fan because he hasn't seen his team win a ring. He was in the fetus. He was a fetus.
We even born when you last one.
I was born 93.
Goo Goo Gaga.
I'm the Goo Goo Gaga. See, my problem is I started watching basketball in 2010. We're talking peak Derrick Rose. So it's been nothing but despair and pain ever since. Literally, picked up basketball. Shadow.
To be fair, though, having support in any team, when you do go through that adversity, that real shit period where you're, losing seasons constantly. Like those moments where for example, you beat the Lakers, you beat the Celtics, or you have that that's like a ring in itself, isn't it?
I was so proud of Zach LaVine being voted an All-Star this year. I was like,
damn, Nathan, that was crazy. That was a shot right there. I like the way you did that.
I see that one coming.
Man.
I like that.
Fair, Levine is a legit dunker. We'll give you that.
Oh, you can have that, Cam.
You take that crown. You can stay there.
Seeing this fourth quarter in Bulls games, man, the guys making step back threes on everybody.
Anything else you might want to touch on before we let Nathan out of here, man?
I think we hit the nail on the head.
Oh wait, Ken, we have to ask him. We actually always have a debate about the East versus the West, who's the harder conference. So just before you go, man, aren't you just really happy you're not in the West?
Wait, Nathan, before you answer that, I'm going to chime in a little bit, yeah? Think about the top
Why
teams.
would you influence his answer?
Well, Nick is influencing it as well. So I'm going to influence it. Nick literally said, would you rather not be in the West? Come on, bro. All right, think about the top teams in each conference and then talk about which conference you think is harder overall.
So obviously you've got the Lakers, you've got the Clips, the Jazz this season as well. The West is really strong. Now Harden's come over to the East. Philadelphia's playing well. You've got Brooklyn. I would have liked to have said us, but we're not in that. We're not in that mix right now. You have to. I can't get if I was a player, my easiest route to the final is through the Eastern Conference.
Amen. Oh.
Unfortunately, as much as it pains me to say,
Oh.
if we were playing well, the Miami Heat, if they were playing well, like they did last season, like I think it would be a little bit closer. But you've got over in the West, you've got LeBron, AD, Kawhi, like you've got so much talent over there. Where over in the East, arguably you've got KD, Harden, Tatum, Brown, quite a few other players as well. But for me, it's if I was a player, I'd want to play in the East.
There's a reason all these guys are going that side, man. There's a reason all these guys are forcing
If everybody comes to the East,
Brooklyn,
it's going to make
brother.
it harder.
To be fair, I'm not fussed. If it's easier to get to the finals and then we get to beat the Lakers, I mean, I'm happy with that. If I get an easy run through and then I get to a well-rested Boston Celtics, all fires, all gun cylinders firing against the Lakers, where you've just had an absolute nightmare against the Jazz or the Clips or whoever to get to the finals, then I'm taking that all day.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, man. Everyone check out the Boston Brit. We want to thank you so much for joining us, man. I hope we'll do this again.
Nathan, what's the name of your pod again, bro?
It's that UK Celtics podcast. It's a bit of a tongue twister, to be honest. I was going to change it to the Boston Brit podcast, but it's the That UK Celtics podcast, and me and another guy in the NBA UK community, Josh Coyne, we do a weekly roundup show called The Garden Party, where we just basically talk shit about how shit we are. And when we do have a party,
I'll catch you there, bro. I'll catch you there.
and when we do have a party, we wear party hats and stuff. So it's that's the fun thing to do. And my other side of the podcast is where I get guests on. I had Gordon Hayward, Semi Ojeleye, Vincent Poirier, and Adam Lafondra, footballer, and Matt Connolly, footballer, and hoping to get a few more of the guys on as well.
Amazing.
Hopefully soon. It's in the works, but potentially could be getting Grant Williams on.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm doing some Twitch graphics for them at the moment for Tice, Grant and Semi. So it's kind of a, I'll do these for you, but fancy coming on my podcast.
Yeah. I like that.
Wink projects.
Make sure to yell at them to tell them to step up their rotations too, especially Grant and Semi.
To be honest, imagine if I had an NBA player on my podcast and just went, mate, you're playing shite. What are you doing? Imagine the scenes. I would get, that's it. I'd be on Celtics Twitter. I'd be absolutely ruined. The team would not want anything to do with me.
Love, man. Yeah, appreciate you for coming on, man.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Anyways, appreciate you guys.
Vibranium, I can never get soft. I move squares, trying not to get boxed. In the last quarter, could've won awards for my trap prowess. I was turning turnover all mad hours, reminiscing about the days I used to have hours. Hit 2 licks in like 2 hours. You gon' need a brown box and some cute flowers.